All right. I think we're live. We're trying to figure this out. So welcome. I'm here. I'm Chris Caplice.
I'm Eva Ponce. Welcome to this live event.
And what we're going to do is talk through the CFX, some of the details, why you should take it, what it means, and just try to answer all your questions. So I'm going to switch over to showing some slides. There we go. Okay, so the outline for today, I'll give you a quick welcome and overview. Ava will talk about some of the structure of the CFX and give you the dates. We'll both talk about the preparation. We prepared some additional slides, problems, and things that you can do to hopefully that'll make it a little easier for you, especially those of you who have finished your courses a while ago. I know some of you have finished your SC4X a year ago and you're thinking about taking this one. So we wanted to make it a little easier for you guys to prepare and remember all the things that you learned. We'll talk about what happens after the CFX, and then we'll answer any questions that you have. So, okay. To do this, the way we're going to interact with you is with Slido. So please go to slido.com, www.sli.do, and the code is CFX. If you enter that in, you'll see a couple things. One is you'll be able to answer our polling questions. We have one open now. But also you'll be able to ask questions. And so I highly encourage you to enter in and ask your questions now. Don't wait till 10 minutes before it's done, because then we won't get to them. So we'll try to answer all those questions as they come in. You can also vote on whether you like a question or not. We'll tend to go down from the one that has the highest votes down. So if there's a question already on there that you really like and want to hear answered, upvote it, and then we'll hit those ones first. And so here's the first poll that's out there. If you can vote, you can see the results. And it looks like we have a number of you coming in now, and I encourage you to go through and answer. We just want to know, are you planning on taking the CFX? And I give you 4 or 5, actually there's, just 4 possible answers. Yes, I'm definitely, yes, I'm thinking I might, no, I probably won't, and an absolutely no. We just want to get a sense of who we're talking to here, whether you're definitely going to take it, if you're thinking of postponing, because as you know, we offer this twice a year. This one is in August. It's a little different from the other ones we've done. This will be our third one.
Third one.
That's right?
Yeah.
And so our third one, and it's only virtual. And we'll talk more about that in a second. But as the responses come in, it looks like the majority, 80% or more, are definitely taking the CFX, which is great.
Excellent.
All right. Yeah. So let's go in and just talk about MicroMasters. First, what you're joining. So we've had almost 250,000 learners enrolled across the world. 196 countries. We've had 15,000 learners who have verified and over 20,000 certificates issued. And the big number is 1,062 credentials. MicroMasters full credentials have been awarded, which is the most MicroMasters credentials awarded anywhere in any program. And a number that isn't on here is, I want to say 40. How many blended students graduated from MIT?
40. 39, I think.
39? 39. So everyone who came into the MIT Supply Chain Management blended program in January 2018 graduated in early June 2018. And they graduate with their master's degree from MIT, which you can only come into that program if you have the MicroMasters credential. So you're joining a big program, and hopefully you want to come and finish the whole thing, and that's why you're here today.
Excellent.
Okay, so like I said, 190 countries. And what I wanted to ask you for the next question, let me just turn that on. What country are you coming from? Because as you see, like I said, over 190 countries. The US is still the top, but it's only about 1/5 of the total learners. India and Brazil are the next 2 biggest countries, but again, we come from many, many different countries. And so I'm just curious where you guys are coming from, and as you enter things in, you'll be able to see a word cloud of what's coming in. And as I look at the results, it looks like it's actually coming in pretty interesting. It's not just all the United States. In fact, we're hitting all the continents. India is dominating right now, but Spain is really close.
It's really close. I want to add some statistic. I went through the list of eligible yesterday. 30% of the eligible for the CFX are from United States, but the next country is Spain. 5% are from Spain. Then we have India, and we have Brazil, Germany, and Mexico, according to the number of eligible. Let's see for those that are attending.
Yeah, it's coming in. We have about 30 to 40 of you on the call now, and more are coming in. It looks like USA is starting to pick back up again. But again, we're coming from all over, which is a nice thing to do. We are a global program. This is not a US specific program. Supply chains are global operations. And so just like for our master's program, we tend to have 50-50 from the US and international. We're finding the blended is more slanted towards international than domestic, which makes sense. It's a big world. A lot of people want to learn this. Okay, so then next slide, and you can keep entering this in. I won't change the poll for a second. So you all know the courses that we have, and just so how we view them, and you've probably heard this before, but just to reiterate, 0, 1, and 2X, supply chain analytics, fundamentals, and design are our more quantitative courses. And that's what exam 1 of the CFX will focus on. SC3X and SC4X, as well as the second half of SC2X really, is more qualitative. And those are kind of the bigger picture pieces of supply chain. We will test both of these during the CFX. Exam 1 is for the first 2.5, and exam 2 is for the second 2.5. Now, it all builds on each other, and so you might have to use some of the concepts from SC1X during the second exam, but we're really focusing on those larger issues. And so this is how it all fits together. Completing all 5 of these courses earns you the MicroMasters, assuming you finish the CFX. So what's the value proposition? The big thing is individual career development. We're finding more and more people do this to enhance their career, whether it's advancing within their company they are now, or using this as a jumping point to go to another company, another career. The nice thing is that this can be used as a pivot. And so you might be in accounting. You take a course like this, you get it on your resume, and you might be able to qualify for a job now that takes you into supply chain that also leverages your previous experience. So this can be used as a pivot. We're finding more and more, a lot of the work that Ava does with some of our other people here at the center is work with companies. So we're finding more companies are using these courses to advance their own employees. This is great for you guys because if you're joining a company, they already recognize the value of the MicroMasters. And so companies ranging from General Electric, the railroads here in the US, some grocers, global grocers, others are getting more interested in this. So that's also helping. And then the other reason, a big one, is a pathway to a master's degree, whether at MIT or somewhere else. So let's go to that slide because we've talked about MIT's program, where if you have the MicroMasters, you can apply for our 5-month master's degree, and you'd come in January and graduate in June, and you'd be blending in with the other 40 students here for the 10-month degree, and you graduate in June with a Master's of Applied Science in Supply Chain or a Master's of Engineering in Supply Chain Management. It depends on whether you want to do a capstone project or a thesis, but it gives you, with the MicroMasters, entry into this master's program. But there are other programs that you can pick from. And let me just turn on the poll here. We have 2 others in our MIT consortium, the SCALE consortium, Supply Chain and Logistics Excellence. We have 5 centers internationally across the world: Zaragoza, Spain; Luxembourg; Bogota, Colombia; Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia; and Ningbo, China. And so they all have master's programs. 2 of them are offering blended or accelerated master's programs. One is in Missy in Malaysia, and the other is in Zaragoza, Spain. Now for those 2, and you'll hear about this if you finish the MicroMasters and pass, is that they are looking for people who want to start this January or this fall to graduate in 2019. MIT is closed for 2019. You'd be applying to come in the January of 2020 to graduate in June of 2020. But some of these programs have different admission schedules. And so in addition to MIT, we have the 2 SCALE centers, one in Malaysia, one in Zaragoza, Spain, and then there's a number of other universities. And you can see them all listed here. And I sent a poll down to see which ones you're interested in. And so of all these schools, you can pick more than one if you want, as many as you're interested in. And if you graduate, if you finish the MicroMasters, we'll send you more information about these other programs because they're very interested in getting these students. They've recognized that completing the MicroMasters shows not just excellence in academics, but that a willingness to work hard over an extended period of time. That grit is something that companies as well as other universities find very attractive. And as we study the differences between the blended students who came in with the MicroMasters And the traditional students who came in without them for our first program, we're finding that one, they're indistinguishable because they're both really good students, but we're finding that the blended ones do a little better in terms of grades. They're a little more rigorous. They're a little more, they're geared for the rigor that we have here at MIT. So it's kind of interesting to see those results.
Mm-hmm.
So a number of different universities. Anything you want to say about
Yes,
these?
we can share with you a news from MIT News that published, I think last week, an article comparing these two cohorts of the blended student versus the SCM student. I think it's an interesting reading. So we will share after this live event to you.
So just to recap some of the survey results, it looks like the majority, 70%, are interested in the blended here at MIT.
Mm-hmm.
But the next highest one is Zaragoza. That's great. And then a couple want to go talk about Missy, Purdue, which has a great supply chain program.
Definitely.
But interesting, a quarter of the people said they're not interested in going on. They just want the credential, which is great because we want to make sure the credential is not just something as a stepping stone to a master's. It stands on its own. And we put a lot of time into that. So I'm glad that a number of you are really just interested in the credential.
In the credential by itself, yeah.
All right. Other thing that we talked about this, companies are very interested in this. They are using this for training. They're using this for other things. And so the value here is not just seen at other universities, it's also seen here by other companies, which is great.
And also, there are companies that are now offering jobs, positions for MicroMasters holders. GE is one example. There is a Brazilian company that is also doing that. I think that more and more companies are going to offer these positions for MicroMaster holders. And we are posting all of these positions in the MicroMaster portal. So if you are interested in that, have a look in the portal.
The other benefit of completing the MicroMasters, and we're still adding to this, not only is it a pathway into a graduate degree, it's being recognized by companies. You also join a community of like-minded individuals across the world. And so what I'm showing here are two things. The first is on the left are different community discussions. These are on the discussion forum at odl.mit.edu. And then you also have this professional network. So networking, once you get above a certain level, the network is all that matters. And so you're entering a new network here of just MicroMasters, of people who've also completed this. And so what I ask you in the survey is how many fellow MicroMaster students have you met face-to-face, not virtually, because that's what we're trying to encourage. And so what you see on the right is some people having meetups. I've attended some in Singapore. Whenever I travel somewhere, I try to see if anyone's there wants to meet up in Ningbo, China, in Malaysia, in Europe. Wherever I go, I'll try to announce it, and we'll see if people want to come together. So let's see, the survey's coming in, and so the majority have not met anyone physically yet. So that will change, I think, as we do more and have more of these smaller meetups. 76% say none, 1 to 4 is about 16%, and there's a couple that say 20 or more. So it really is looking for the city that you're in. And if you have any ideas or questions about how we can encourage meetups like that, just let us know. All right, and so the last thing I have is just these are some quotes from people like you who've completed the courses, and they talk about different things where it had value for them, whether it offered them a new opportunity within their company, whether it gave them an opportunity for a new company, a doubling in pay, things like that. Let me stress again, this is a professional course. We are here to help your career, not so much to find yourself, but to help a career path, whether it's a new path for you or to strengthen your already established career path. So as we get more of these kind of quotes, we'll share these with you because these are things you can think about. And these are the reasons why we created this course and created the whole credential. All right. So now I think we're going to talk about the CFX structure and the key dates.
Yes, we are going to do that. So let's have a close look or deeper dive into the CFX. What is the CFX? It's the comprehensive final exam, and this is the final requirement for the MITx MicroMaster credential in supply chain management. So why we are doing this final and proctored final exam? We are doing that because we really want to ensure the value and the quality of this program because of as Chris mentioned, companies are recognizing the MicroMaster credential. Other universities are recognizing this credential. MIT is recognizing this credential. So we need to be sure that the person that is taking the exam is the person that said that is taking the exam. And also this is the person that has the knowledge. That's why we are doing that. In terms of the CFX, it includes 2 exams. Exam 1, this is a 2 hours, 120 minutes exam. You can take a break after taking exam 1, but you need to take exam 2 after that. So exam 2 is again another Proctored exam, 2 hours, 120 minutes. Within the 2 exams, you have 12 hours. So you need to take both exams in less than 12 hours. I recommend you to take a break in between one exam and the other, and then not very much late, take please the exam 2, because you need to complete both exams in order to complete the comprehensive final. Both exams are virtually proctored. What does this mean? This means that you need to download the proctoring software and you need to go through certain steps. We have prepared for you this year a CFX tutorial with all of these steps. You need to scan the room, you need to verify your identity, do all of this interview process before starting with the exam. And you need to do that for both exams, for exam 1 and for exam 2. Once you complete exam 1, you need to close, end your proctor session, take a break, and then do exactly the same for exam 2.
Let me make a comment there before you switch slides. So we had a question, and I want to answer because it makes sense here. Andrea asked, in regards to exam length, are the 2 hours of each exam generous, or will we need to rush in order to complete all the questions or problems? So for the finals, for each of the courses you take, SC0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, we give you 4 hours to take an exam we think will take 2.
Yeah.
And usually people finish it within that time frame. We geared these ones to definitely be done in 2, usually within an hour. And so to 2 hours, I'd have to check the statistics, what percentage actually take the full amount. I think it's a mix. Most take most of the time, but it's not something like you won't finish. And so it's there's a lot of test taking skills. And we talk about this during the CFX prep. As you go through, you should always look and see what the questions are so you allocate your time accordingly and don't spend an hour on one question. But we try to make it, we put a lot of time to make sure if you know the material, you should have plenty of time.
Yeah.
But people usually use most of the time. I'd be hard pressed to think about them running out of time.
Yeah, in exam 1, definitely most of our students use the whole time, but because they have enough time to complete it, but they also go and double check their calculations. So you will have this time to double check your calculations. Exam 2, typically people ends before the 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So let's continue. So for this run of the CFX, we have 1,100, a little bit more than 1,100 people that are eligible. What does being eligible mean? This means that you meet all the requirements to be part of the CFX. This means that you have passed as a verified learner the 5 SCX courses. If you are eligible to take this CFX, by now you should be enrolled in this run of the CFX. However, if you want to take the exam, you need to verify it. So you need to make the decision about if you want to take or not this run of the CFX. If you really want to take it, I encourage you to verify it as soon as possible and no later than August 9th. So in order to verify, you need to, as always, to pay the fee. The fee is $200. This is less than 1/3 of the original price. The first time we offered that was $600.
$650, wasn't it? Yeah, it was
600.
high.
Yeah, it was high, and now it's $200. You need to go through the ID verification and be sure that the ID verification is up to date for 2 main reasons. The first reason is if you are not ID verified, you do not have access to the exam. You cannot open the exam. And the second thing is if you are not ID verified, when we are going to issue the certificate, we cannot send the certificate to you. So for these two reasons, you need to be ID verified. That means that you need to go through the process, the webcam, have a picture of your ID card with your picture and your name. Your name need to be exactly the same name that you have on edX platform. Yes, just double check that you are up to date with that. As we mentioned, both exams are virtually proctored, and in this round of the CFX, we are only offering virtual proctored exam. We are not offering the option to come to MIT or any other center to take it physically. The verification deadline, as I mentioned, is August 9th. So as soon as possible, please go through this process, because always or sometimes there are some issues with the payment, with the ID verification. So please try to complete this as soon as possible. In terms of the eligible, this cohort is from 98 countries. This is the map with the representation of people from this cohort. As I mentioned before, 30% from USA, 5% from Spain, 5% from India, Brazil, Germany, and Mexico. These are the top countries.
Let me say one thing about this, why we are pre-registering you. So you should have got an email with a pre-enrolled everyone to this.
Yeah.
The reason why, the first time we ran the CFX, anyone could sign up for it. Like they treated it like a regular SCX course. So we had hundreds of people signed up who were not qualified. Some people who hadn't taken a single course were signing up for it. And that just got really confusing. So to make it easier for you guys, we pre-enrolled everyone who's verified, everyone who's, qualified and eligible. And you don't have, if you don't want to take it, just don't do anything. Just let it go. But if you want to do it, you have to opt in. So we're doing this as a courtesy to you, and it makes it a lot easier so we don't have a lot of random people coming in like a regular SCX course. Only those who are verified, eligible, and ID'd are able to be invited to this. So we pre-do that to make it easier for all of us.
Yeah, and if you do not take any action, nothing is going to happen. If you want to unenroll, you can unenroll, and we already shared the instructions to unenroll. And if you think that you qualify and you did not receive the email from us, please send an email to us, to me directly if you want, or to the cfxhelp@mit.edu, and we will take care of these specific cases. But most of you should have received by now the communication. So key dates, verification deadline, August 9th. The CFX will open on August 24th. And will close on August 27. You will have 72 hours to complete both exams, exam 1 and exam 2. So from now, the course is open. You have access to some preparation material that I'm going through that in a minute, but I just want to cover the verification process, and it's exactly the same as always in all of the courses. So by now you should know. It's just to upgrade your status, to pay for the $200, and then go through the ID verification process. In this case, as I mentioned, it's critical to be ID verified. And if you have any issue with the verification process or the payment process, contact directly to edX, because edX is the one that is managing this thing. And the email account is info@edX.org. Perfect. So in terms of the CFX preparation, this time we have prepared for you some videos and some new material. We really want to help you to be prepared for this CFX. We have prepared a welcome video you will find in the CFX prep session. It's a section in the course, and this is open by now. Now you can have access to that. You will have 5 wrap-up videos. These are wrap-up videos per each of the SCX courses. And what we did here, Chris recorded the 3 first courses. I did the 2 last courses. What we did is just to go through the main key concepts of each course. However, you need to go to each course, and I highly encourage you to go through the course and to review all of the videos and the materials that we provide through the course. I also think it's a good idea to go through the practice problem and solve some of these great complete assignments that you have in your archive courses. These videos is just a way to try to help you to point you to these main concepts in each of the CFX courses.
And it's meant to be refreshing your ideas, not learning first time because you've already seen them, but just reminding you of what all is in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of the practice proctor test, it is open now. So you have the opportunity now to go through the practice proctor test. This is a trial. And I recommend you to do that because this is a way to solve real CFX problems. We pick some of the problems that we use for the previous runs of the CFX. It's also a way to reproduce the CFX environment. It's a way to download the proctoring software and to go through all of the steps that you need to complete in order to pass and complete the CFX. So there are 4 problems in this practice proctor test. Once you complete the interview process, when you complete the scan of the room, when you complete the ID verification, you have access to 4 problems. We give you 2 hours. So it's going to be a practice exam, but it's going to be time because we really want to reproduce the environment of this CFX. And just to give you a flavor of how the CFX is going to be. However, it's not exactly the same. As you know, the CFX includes 2 exams, more problems, but at least I think it's a good way to be familiar with that before taking the actual CFX.
Yeah, so what it replicates is the environment because as opposed to all your exams, this one, you're being filmed, your screen is being filmed, you're allowed 1 sheet of blank paper, you have to look at the key concept document that we give you online. So it's a little bit different. So you get used to the environment that you're doing. It's not the same length of time for the 2 and the 2 hour exams, but it's very similar environment that you're taking it.
You are going to be kind of proctor, but this video is not going to send to the proctoring company. It's just a test. You can take as many times as you want. You can take 10 times if you want to do that. And at least you need to take once in order to have access to the solution of the problem. So what we did, the CFX team, what we have done is to prepare how to solve this problem. And again, this is just a way to show you how we will solve the problem. There are maybe other approaches to the problem, but you will have access to the solution and you will have Chris solving one of the problem and the team solving other problems.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. One of the biggest challenges that I think people have is how to think about solving problems sometimes. And so what we did is we filmed them in this room. And so each of us took one of the exams. It's me, you, Sergio, and Ima. Each of us took a problem and we solved it in real time. And so we kind of talk through what we're thinking about, and we show you how we solve it using only the things that you have available, which is the key concept document you pull from online. You have to use the one that we give you, an Excel spreadsheet or LibreOffice, and then also the exam itself. And I just show how I think about it in our little pictures in the bottom, but it's just one way to think about solving it and how to use the spreadsheets and how to use the paper that you have. So hopefully you'll find that useful in just making it a little easier to think about how you'll solve the problem.
Yeah, but to have access to the solution, at least you need to go through the problems once. Yeah, so in terms of the dates, we will close the practice proctor test on August 23rd, just to avoid any confusion. And in August 24th, we are going to open the actual CFX. Will be open during 72 hours. The pass bar is 60%, as in all of our CFX courses, and the final grades and the certificates will be available within 1 month. So after the CFX, you have many different options. We really encourage you to take the CFX and go through the whole process. Then you can apply for a master degree, or you can apply for a job, or whichever you want to use this credential, as we mentioned. And we really encourage you to be in in touch with us. The MicroMaster portal is a great space to be in touch with the SCX community of learners. So we are going to post here job openings. We are going to post news and events from CTL. So if you want to be in touch with us and also with your peers, this is a great space to do that. And with that, from my side, is just be open if you have any questions. I highly encourage you to read the instructions and the FAQ document, because I think these cover most of the questions that you might have. But in any case, if you have any additional or specific questions, send an email to the CFX help@mit.edu. The staff is working on this email account. We have teaching assistant working on that, course leads. So contact us with any feedback or any additional questions that you might have, and please read the instructions. The CFX tutorial video, I think, is going to help you to go through the process, but the instructions are much more detailed. Yeah, the best of luck for the CFX.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah.
So here's the team, and we'll leave this on the screen for a second, and I'll start going through the questions that we have.
Yeah.
All right. So let me flip to here. Right. All right.
Yes.
So Ray has the most popular question, and so I assume he asked the question: will the problems on the CFX be similar in depth and complexity to the individual course midterm and final exams? I think so.
Yeah.
Pretty much. We try to make them more bulletproof. These are being tested and QA'd a lot and beta tested because we want to have no confusion. But every CFX are new problems. And so the ones that we put on the practice were actually from this most recent one in February.
Most recent, and one problem was from the first round.
Yeah, so the first exam, CFX 1, like I said, is more quantitative. It'll be more similar to the questions you got in 0, 1, and 2. Exam 2 for CFX 2, more of the questions from 3 and 4, and some in 2. So yes, they'll be very similar.
And one more thing, we designed this taking into consideration that you can only use Excel or LibreOffice. So we are not going to ask for you to use any other software because we know that is not allowed. So
this leads into the next question. Pierre asked this question. Actually, Pierre, I think you asked it 2 or 3 times. Is it necessary to know how to solve the mixed integer linear programming programs with Excel? Please be aware of the solver bugs, as it happened to me during a Proctored GA. SAS would be so much better. Whatever. I don't agree with you for that. We've had many bugs with SAS as well. We had that. Remember when the server went down during a Proctored exam once?
Yes.
So we tried to make it so you're self-contained and you're not relying on any third-party software that is also in the cloud. Because I love the cloud. It's not always reliable and it tends to break when you need it the most. So we made it so it's self-reliant. Now, what we want to make sure you understand for mixed integer linear programs in particular is what it means and what you're doing. We're not going to have you solve an exceptionally difficult, formulation problem. We want to make sure you understand the formulation, understand what it's doing. That's the key thing you need to know from that.
Yeah, and one more thing is remember that you can only open a blank spreadsheet. You cannot open any pre-populated or pre-filled spreadsheet.
Yeah, we get asked this all the time, and people will say something like, well, I've spent the last year and a half creating these spreadsheets. I want to use those. It's like, yeah, but we can't do that because as soon as someone has that killer spreadsheet, everyone will use it, and it defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah.
So we're not going to just think about from our shoes what we're trying to do. We're trying to certify and say, yes, this person understands this. Not, yes, this person knows how to enter numbers into a magic spreadsheet they press a button to. So we have to make it so it's a blank spreadsheet. We want to see your thought process and go through the practice problems that we filmed, and you'll see how we think about it, because solving it with a spreadsheet is a little different from if I give you an in-person exam where you're using paper. For the spreadsheet one, you can use that to help your thought process, and it actually makes it a lot easier if you think about it, how to structure your problem. But no, you can't use pre-filled ones. You got to go from a blank spreadsheet. That's the only way we can guarantee it's your own work. It's the only way we know how to do it.
Yeah, and the CFX is intended to assess main concept. It's just to evaluate that you understand these main concepts and you can make decisions based on these main concepts.
Okay, another question from Andrea. Is the key concept document provided with the exam the same one we're using for studying, or is it somehow different? It depends. I don't know which one you're using to study. It's evolved. The key concept document didn't exist until January 2015. And that's when we started introducing it. The first time we didn't have anything there, and the number one complaint was, where's the book? And so we created a book. Now, the key concept document, we try to keep it steady state because every course has been run at least twice now, but we'll give you the one that you're allowed to use. We do that because we want to be fair to everyone. Now, some of you might have taken the courses a while ago, and some of the courses have changed a little bit, and we've rearranged some of the content. The key concept document covers everything we've ever taught in any course, okay? But we will only put in the CFX those things that are constant in every course, every possible run that you've taken. We won't teach you something brand new that we just introduced because that wouldn't be fair to the people who took it in a previous run. So the CFX is comprehensive, and so you should look through that. We will give you the one that you will use, and this will eventually be the stabilized final version that we'll release for every course going forward.
Yeah, and currently in the platform, in the CFX course, is available the version that we are going to provide through the platform. This version includes all of the concepts that you are going to have when you are going to take this run of the CFX. However, you can only open the one that we are providing through the exam because we will make sure that this is the copy that you have, and we will include some formatting changes. In terms of contents, is exactly the same that you already have through the CFX, this run of the CFX.
Okay, MHD had a question. I don't quite understand it. If we lose connectivity during the CDX exam, I think you're asking what happens if I'm taking the CFX exam and suddenly my internet stops.
So this is tricky. So my recommendation is, from now that between 24 and 27 of August, you need to take this exam. You need to book at least for 6 hours that you are sure that your computer is up to date, is meet all the requirements, and the internet connectivity need to be working because this is an online course. So you need a laptop or computer and internet connectivity. So try to book for a reserve for a space that you can almost guarantee that this internet connectivity is going to happen. If anything happens, then you need to end your proctor session, you need to end your time exam session, and you need to send right away an email to cfxhelp@mit.edu. We are going to be 24/7 hours monitoring these email accounts. My recommendation is try to book in advance, to plan in advance, and to make sure that you meet all of the requirements, because if this happens, it's really bad. It's a bad thing that can happen here. So, and then notify to us as soon as possible, provide all the details that you can provide about the issue, and we will deal case by case with.
We'll work with you individually on this. We spend a lot of time, like Ava said, we have a full-time staff here 24/7 during those 72 hours. So if you let us know right away, we'll work with you right away. And so that's very important, but we will let us know. Don't wait until the last hour and say, hey, I lost connectivity 2 days ago. Let us know right away and we'll work with you. We haven't had a problem thus far, a problem that we haven't been able to remedy. Okay, so don't worry about that. All right, next question from Paige. As I review the archived courses and solve the graded assignments, if I have a specific question regarding methodology, who can I contact? What is that process? What do you think? CFX Help? Just send something to that?
Yeah, any question related to the CFX, contact to us.
Do we have a discussion forum on the CFX?
We have a discussion forum open now, and it's going to close just before the exam.
Oh, I would use that then.
Yeah. There is a discussion forum. Yeah, you can use the discussion forum for that.
So we'll be monitoring that. The TA and the course lead will be monitoring that, and so that's probably the best way to do it. That way you can help each other too. Start growing that network together, and you're allowed to talk about this practice CFX stuff. You don't have to be quiet on this one. So after you take one, you can talk to each other about it. Or if you have a specific problem with one of the previous ones, go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah.
So
during the 72 hours, once we open the exam, we do not allow any comment, any reference to the exam at all. through the forum, through WhatsApp group, by any other means. So please be respectful with your peers because they are taking the exam during these 72 hours. So we do not allow any comment related to the CFX.
Okay, Gustavo asked the question, what about machine learning in SQL? Is it going to be all about the concepts? Yes. And so you need to understand that. Machine learning, you need to understand the basic concepts there, and for SQL, you need to understand how to use it.
How to use, when to apply these techniques, when does make sense for which kind of problems, pros and cons of using one technique versus others, these kind of things.
David asks, will the material change between CFX exams if I finish the course earlier this year and plan to take it next year? Will the information tested be the same? Yes. We try to keep it core the same. We're stabilized now, so I think I don't see too many big changes to 0, 1, 2, or 3. 4X is weird because new technology comes and goes, and so that new stuff will come on. But honestly, when we test on for SC 4X, it's more of the strategy, kind of the bigger issues. So it's not necessarily on specific. We won't ask you something on what's the future of autonomous vehicles and have a true false question. It's more getting you thinking beyond a bigger picture things.
Yeah, and the key concept document will be updated based on the latest contents that we are going to provide. For this RAM, as we mentioned, is backwards compatible. If in the future we are going to add any of these new contents, we will be sure that everyone knows that this is in the key concept document. So you will have at least reference material for these concepts.
So Alan asks, when you complete the practice exam, will it tell you what you got right and what you got wrong? Previous practice exams did not. No, it won't. We give you the answers afterwards. That's part of the experience. And I should have said this earlier. When you take the CFX, we don't give you the happy check or the X of despair. You know, if you got it wrong, we give you, I don't even think we give you a blue dot anymore.
Blue dot.
Yeah. It's saying we got your answer. We'll let you know.
But
that's why we gave you the videos afterwards, and you can look through those and we'll say what the answers were. But yeah, it's a little bit different from your online tests in that we don't give you that instant gratification. And we do that for a bunch of reasons. One is we're really serious about making this accurate and making sure we want to minimize the amount or the ability to cheat. So we randomize things. Everyone has a slightly different set of numbers and things like that. But also, we want to make sure that you don't know what you got right if anyone shares with someone else. So you just know that you put an answer in. And so, and we're debating, to be honest, whether to incorporate that for all of the midterms and finals, where we don't tell you if you got it right or not. You guys hate that. But we have to do it in the CFX to make sure that we're credible.
Yeah. The final grades will be available after we close and we issue the certificate. So you are not going to have access to your progress report, student progress report, or any grades. And the final grades will be available at the very end of the process.
So Pierre asked another question. What would you recommend for preparation? What quantity of the courses is not in the key concept document and hence to know by heart? As I said earlier, nothing on the test is not in the key concept documents. In other words, the key concept document, if you draw a Venn diagram, is this big, and the exam is within that. Nothing that we ask in the exam is not in the key concept document. The flip is not true. There might be something in the key concept document that we will not address in the CFX. So I recommend that you retake your practice problems, retake your graded assignments, just get comfortable with the concepts. So you get a sense with it that way. Memorizing things by heart, that's why we give you the key concept document. I don't want you to memorize and get tattoos of the EOQ and different of these equations, because sometimes they're really involved. I don't expect you to memorize them. I expect you to know where to go when you look for that. So if you see a problem and you say, oh, this is an inventory problem, you know where to go. I'm not expecting you to memorize everything. Just be familiar with, just like in practice, when someone hits you with a problem, you shouldn't have everything memorized, but you should know where to look for a resource. And that's what the key concept document is all about.
If you watch the problem-solving videos that we prepare for you, you will see that we were using the key concept document to look for the formula or the Incoterms term or whatever we were looking for. Yeah.
So Pranav asked a question, do we have 2 trials to mark the answer, and we get to know if we made the mistake and can re-input the answer. No. So you ask 2 questions. The first one is, do you have 2 trials? The answer is yes.
You have two attempts.
And you have to make sure you submit the answer, not just save it. You have to submit it.
And one important thing here is you are going to be graded based on your latest attempt.
Yeah.
So you submit your first attempt. If you're okay with that, it's okay. If you double check your solution for any reason, you change your mind, you want to include another different solution, you can do that. You have a second attempt. Then you will be graded based on the second attempt, not based on the first one. Yeah. Just keep this in mind.
But the second part of your questions, do we know if we made a mistake in re-input? No. We're not giving you the X or the check. It's just a dot saying we got your answer.
No, you need to solve your problem. And then if you have time, go again, double check your inputs, your outputs, your calculations. If for any reason you change your mind, you can have another opportunity. If not, keep it as is.
Next question, Shividate asked, what will the questions be like? I think we've kind of answered that by now. They'll be very similar to the midterm and final questions you've answered before in previous courses. More concepts than mathematical. See, the first one is more the concepts, the math and 0 through 2. The second one is more conceptual, like SC3X and SC4X.
And having said that, we combine numerical problems with multiple choice in exam 1 and also in exam 2. So
good question here from, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Cesinco, C-E-S-I-N-C-O. I may have missed this point earlier, but does one need to pass both halves of the exam, or is it 60% bar cumulative bar over both exams?
Both exams. So you need to have 60% in both exams. You don't need to pass one
cumulative
or the other.
So it's not 60% in each. It's a cumulative. So you might get a 50% in one and 70% in the other. You have a 60% average.
Yeah.
Does that make? Hopefully that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Because people don't do as well. So usually someone does much better in one versus the other. We usually see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just save that. Okay. Next one on the CDX, DCX. I don't know what that is. Exams were constituted of 4 problems. What about the CFX? As we said earlier, the CFX is geared to be solved easily within 2 hours. The exams in your other courses are usually geared. We give you 4 hours because we know it'll probably take you the full 2. And so we give you extra time. We're gearing it to be done within the time that we allocate. Someone asked on the other exams, there were 4 problems. What about the CFX? The number, it's irrelevant. We focus it to the time because a lot of multiple choices can be done a lot faster than a very involved single question. Again, we try to make it so that it can be done easily within 2 hours.
Yeah, and the practice proctor test is just to give you a flavor of the CFX. It's not exactly the CFX. It's just...
Okay, Alex asks, my current ID verification is effective until 8/21/2018. Currently, there's no option to re-verify before expiration. Will this affect the CFX exam?
So then 8/21, you should update your ID verification.
Yeah, make sure you do it at that date.
Make sure we include this in your calendar right now and do on 8/21.
Just make sure it's done before the CFX opens.
In any case, yes, I know about that. I will try with FedEx and see if they can allow you to do in advance. I don't think they are allowing them to do in advance, which would be great, and I know. Yeah. But in any case, in this case, include in your calendar, August 21, please update your ID verification.
Yeah, I wish we could control this, and we're trying to work with edX on changing some of these things. We will try our best. But right now, it's a pretty rigid system, but we'll try to check for that. Make sure, check it on the Thursday before it opens.
Yes.
And what is my date of ID verification?
Yeah.
And so just make sure you get that done. I wish there was an easier way. Cesinco asked, presumably the key concept document is a PDF file. Can we download it and open in our favorite PDF viewer rather than use it strictly online?
Yeah, I think this is allowed.
That's okay. You can open it in Adobe or something. The only thing is you
need to open this document, the document that you have in the first section of the SAM.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
What if my system crashed for any reason? Can I take the exam again? Again, you have a problem, let us know right away, and we'll work with you case by case.
Case by case, but as I mentioned, and I mentioned this a lot in the CFX tutorial, now you know, and we are doing a great effort to share with you all of the instruction requirements. So try to be sure that you meet all of these requirements, because anything that happens, is 72 hours, is very limited time. Things like that, you need to end the exam, you need to close the proctor session, send an email right away. But the best thing is to plan in advance and try to avoid any of these things, because this can jeopardize the CFX. So
set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
If your internet connection at work is better, we do this so it's a mix over work day and a weekend. Work with your manager that you can have a conference room that you can use for that time on a Saturday. Make sure the connection is there. Don't think about it the day before you go and go to a Starbucks, because it won't work. So you need to plan ahead, and we'll work with you as much as possible, because stuff happens. We've lost Amazon's web services went out during an exam.
And we are here to help. So if anything happens, right away, all of the details and these things, we will deal, as we mentioned, directly with you.
And so we want you to be successful, but we're working within the parameters of the same system. All right, so Enrique asked, can I use a computer with 2 monitors for the exam?
No.
No.
No, it's very clear in the instructions. You can only use your laptop or the computer, but not additional devices, no an extra monitor. No, this is not allowed. Read the instructions. This is very clear in the instructions. And if you have any other question, let us know. But this is very clear.
There's some other things that you can't use, like Surface Pros, which I love them. We recorded most of our videos on a Surface Pro. Can't use them because they have a forward-facing camera. It doesn't go back and film you. So you need to make sure that you're set up that you can be filmed and you can be proctored. Set yourself up for success. Check these things out beforehand.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Surface Pro is not allowed. Linux is not allowed. So take into consideration these things. And one important thing, if you are using your work laptop or work computer, double check in advance, because most of the companies does not allow to install the proctoring software. So this is something that definitely you need to, in this case, is kind of mandatory for you to go through the practice proctor test and download in advance the software. Because with the computer, the work computer, sometimes we have some problems with the firewalls and these kind of things. So,
so a couple people have asked, both Kevin Kumar and Maria asked, what was the average grade in the SCX courses and the CFX exam for people admitted to the blended program? I honestly don't know.
For the blended?
Yeah, to get admitted to this last one?
In the CFX in particular, CFX on average, we are in the 75,
for people who got
80%. For people who got we take into consideration the whole performance of the MicroMaster, not only in the CFX. So,
and we take into account your video statement, your proposal for research. So it's a whole holistic review. So, but I don't know what the answers are. I'm sure that's something they're releasing, though, didn't they? We'll find out, and we'll give the average. I don't know those at the top of my mind.
But in general, the average is around 75, 80% on average for the performance.
For coming in?
No, for coming in. No.
That's not what they're asking.
For coming in, no. I'm talking about the CFX in general. Yeah. No, I do not have this on the top of my head.
Okay, so someone's making fun of my comment about getting a tattoo. I said that as a joke before. Hopefully you didn't get an EOQ tattoo, anyone. But if you have it, you're not allowed to look at it during the CFX. How's that?
What's the question?
They were saying something about, I said, I joked in a previous one that you should get an EOQ tattooed because you should know it so well. You should know the EOQ equation by heart. You probably don't need the key concept document. But anyway.
Don't use that. Don't use that. We are monitoring your behavior.
Someone wants to get the normal loss function tattooed. That one would be an interesting tattoo. Pierre asked yet another question. I think this is your 8th question now, Pierre. What's the success rate of the last CFX? Do you know what the pass rate was?
The pass rate?
For the CFX? Was it 80%?
Around 80. Around 80.
Yeah. It's not 100%. It was around 80. But about 80%?
No, that was around 80. Yeah.
All right. We have a couple questions left. In some regions in the world, we have power supply problems, so losing connectivity is a sure thing. That's MHD. I don't know what you want us to do. I mean, honestly, we try to, if you have a problem, let us know right away. If you think you're in an area that you think, try to go to the most stable area you can for these 6 hours. That's all we're asking you to do. Find 6 hours where you think you'll have a constant supply. If you do have a problem, let us know immediately. I'm open for any other suggestions of what you think we can do to make it better. I understand power supply, internet connectivity can be issues at different places. So if you've completed all 5 courses, somehow you found a way to be connected for over 80 to 100 hours. Yeah. All we're asking you to do is find 6 of them now where you're really confident, where you've been the most confident, and give it a shot. If you have a problem, we're here. But try to, again, own your success. Try to set yourself up to be successful. Don't try to do it on a bus somewhere with a Wi-Fi that you're barely connecting to. Go to the place that you have the most confidence in for that period of time. That's all we're saying. All right. Will there be an opportunity, this is from Jonathan, will there be an opportunity to take the CFX at a nationally or internationally recognized exam center, such as places where we do driving tests? No. And so let me explain why. We looked at whether we could do this at like Pearson View and other testing centers. The cheating rates were way too high. Also, we would be required to use a different platform. We couldn't use the edX platform. We chose not to do that because we didn't want to introduce a second learning curve to people. Usually in our past CFXs, we've let you come to one of the 6 scale centers that we have here at MIT. For this one, we've announced the August is purely virtual. It's much more difficult to do the physical proctoring, and we found that less than 5 to 10% actually do that. So this one's all virtual. I wish we could find a way to make it easier for people to go to other things. We're working on that. But one of the reasons why we were able to reduce the cost by 2/3 is that we went predominantly virtual and didn't have to pay a third-party provider to provide the testing, because that gets very expensive. And that's why our first one cost up to $600, because we didn't know how that cost would be allocated. But that's why we can keep the cost low. All right. If you pass the CFX, can you still receive or buy the MITx hat, the first round of CFXers?
Unfortunately, I don't think so, because I think we are still sending for the first cohort some of the boxes. Yeah, it's a global program. We have students from all over the world, and it's really an extra cost. Not only the cost, it's the effort in order to reach you, and we are still trying to reach people from the first cohort. So it's a 100% online program. You will receive your online certificate, and this is the thing that has the real value. So
okay, not a question before you wrap up. My thanks to all the lecturers and TAs for an excellent course. Thank you, Kasinko. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And thank you for the team. We have the team here.
Yeah, there we go. Kevin Kumar asked, out of the 48 students accepted in the blended program in 2018, what percentage of the students are international? I want to say it's 70%. 60 or 70%. How many were international? It is not 50-50. Yeah. It was more international.
More close to 70%.
But honestly, that makes sense to me, because only 20% of the SCX learners are from the United States. Only 1/5. So 80% are from outside anyway.
Yeah.
So Diego asked, I still haven't finished all the courses. Is there a problem if I finish this year, all the remaining courses, and take the CFX next year? Yeah, that's your only choice. If you haven't finished all the courses by right now, you cannot take this CFX. You can only take it if you finish all of the courses ahead of time.
It's mandatory.
Yeah. Okay, last question again from Pierre. It's only fitting. I think this is your 10th question now, but that's okay. And it's not a question. He's thank you to the SCX team for these great courses, top quality. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the other questions, we will answer those. Some of people have been answering questions that are right on our website, and I'll let we'll direct you to those. But I hope you enjoy the prep. Give us feedback. Let us know what's going on. I'll start watching the discussion forum and replying back. You guys are the cream of the crop. You're the people who finished all the 5 courses, and you're ready to take the MicroMasters. I want you to get that credential, because we're going to do more and more things that are only for MicroMasters credential holders. So the more you do, the more we'll do for you.
Yeah, so best of luck with the CFX. We encourage you to take the CFX as soon as possible. Enjoy the summer. Thank you.
All right. Take care.